is an enormous carrot. I took it from work because we get these like gargantuan carrots that we use for our juice of the day. So if you saw that on my bed and you were thinking, Hannah, put that away, that's not what it is. That's a carrot. It is a carrot. And now I feel like I have to show you, or else you're not gonna believe me because it looks really girthy. Let's forget that I talked about this at all. I'm gonna read some poetry. Okay, so I'm gonna read some poetry. This is a Ralph Waldo Emerson book that I got from the secondhand bookstore near my apartment. It's called San Francisco Books here in Paris, and it's an amazing little bookstore. I will say it's kind of expensive. Like, I'm used to the US where like you go to a Goodwill or like the library, like a secondhand bookstore, and all the classics are like 50 cents or $1 or something. And that is not the case here. I spent like 90 euros at this mother trucking bookstore, but that's because I bought a lot of really cool books. I bought a 100-year-old copy of the Iliad. Because what's crazy about, like, once you get into literature and like reading, especially historical literature, like, I wanted to read Dante's Inferno, the trilogy or whatever, but doing some research, because I was like, this is quite an endeavor to read Dante's Inferno. So I was like, what do I need to know before I embark on this journey, this literary excursion? And so it was like, you need to have your bearings when it comes to Greek, like, history, mythology, and how like Dante's Inferno references Virgil and the Iliad and the Odyssey and like all of this other stuff. And so I was like, well, I've never read any of that stuff, so I ended up buying not only Dante's Inferno, but I bought a copy of the Iliad. I bought some like other Greek, Roman related literature, and I'm gonna start. Also would like to take a moment to say I'm sorry for not uploading. I know it's been a minute. I've been really busy, guys. I've been really busy. I'm really happy. I feel like I'm falling in love with myself all over again. It kind of happens in cycles, you know what I mean? I'm really happy though. I'm still climbing, I'm still running, I'm starting acting classes again, which I've taken like a decade off of. poems. I know that a lot of people like whispering, but for the sake of my voice, I might do this in a soft-spoken style, if that is okay with you guys, and you can tell me if you prefer the whisper. I'll switch back in my next video, okay? So this first poem is called Each and All. Little thinks in the field yon red-cloaked clown, of thee from the hilltop looking down. The heifer that lows in the upland farm, far heard, lows not thine ear to charm. The sexton tolling his bell at noon, deems not that great Napoleon stops his horse and lists with delight, whilst his files sweep round yon alpine height. Nor knowest thou what argument thy life to thy neighbour's creed has lent. All are needed by each one, nothing is fair or good alone. I thought the sparrow's note from heaven, singing at dawn on the elder bough. I brought him home in his nest at even. He sings the song, but it cheers not now. For I did not bring him home the river and sky. He sang to my ear, they sang to my eye. The delicate shells lay on the shore, the bubbles of the latest wave fresh pearls to their enamel gave, and the bellowing of the savage sea greeted their safe escape to me. I wiped away the weeds and foam, I fetched my sea-born treasures home, but the poor, unsightly, noisome things had left their beauty on the shore, with the sun and the sand and the wild uproar. The lover watched his graceful maid, as mid the virgin train she strayed, nor knew her beauty's best attire was woven still by the snow-white choir. At last she came to his hermitage, like the bird from the woodlands to the cage. The gay enchantment was undone, a gentle wife, but fairy none. Then I said, I covet truth, beauty is unripe, childhood's cheat. I leave it behind with the games of youth. As I spoke, beneath my feet, the ground pine curled its pretty wreath. Running over the club moss burrs, I inhaled the violet's breath. Around me stood the oaks and firs, pine cones and acorns lay on the ground. Over me soared the eternal sky, full of light and of deity. Again I saw, again I heard, the rolling river, the morning bird. Beauty through my senses stole. I yielded myself to I yielded myself to perfect the whole. Of course, how funny. The last line is the one I can't speak. I'm gonna read that part again. Over me soared the eternal sky, full of light and of deity. Again I saw, again I heard, the rolling river, the morning bird. Beauty through my senses stole. I yielded myself to the perfect whole. I yielded myself to the perfect whole. So interesting. I love poetry because it's always, isn't it always that whatever the author may have intended, the essence or meaning of the poem to be. It's really up to the reader to find their own meaning. And such is life, such is art. It's all this way, but I don't know. It's so individual. It's so subjective, I guess. That's also why I love dissecting artwork with other people. I think it's much more fun in community to bounce ideas off of other people and discuss, maybe things that you didn't think, or your mind. It's just interesting how based off of our own life experiences, our minds direct us in down certain avenues or pathways that other people are not on. And so when you can sort of converge and share, it's super special and really eye-opening and mind-expanding, I guess. Okay, let's go for another one. So this one is called The Problem. I like a church. I like a cowl. I love a prophet of the soul. And on my heart, monastic aisles fall like sweet strains or pensive smiles. Yet not for all his faith can see would I that cowled churchman be. Why should the vest on him allure, which I could not on me endure? Not from a vain or shallow thought his awful Jove young Phidias brought. Never from lips of cunning fell the thrilling Delphic oracle. Out from the heart of nature rolled the burdens of the Bible old. The litanies of nations came like the volcano's tongue of flame. Up from the burning core below the canticles of love and woe. The hand that rounded Peter's dome and groined the aisles of Christian Rome wrought in a sad sincerity himself from God he could not free. He builded better than he knew, the conscious stone to beauty grew. Know'st thou what wove yon woodbird's nest of leaves and feathers from her breast? Or how the fish outbuilt her shell, painting with morn each annual cell? Or how the sacred pine tree adds to her old leaves new myriads? Such and so grew these holy piles, whilst love and terror laid the tiles. Earth proudly wears the Parthenon as the best gem upon her zone, and morning opes with haste her lids to gaze upon the pyramids, or England's abbeys bends the sky as on its friends with kindred eye. For out of thought's interior sphere these wonders rose to upper air, and nature gladly gave them place, adopted them into her race, and granted them an equal date with Andes and with Ararat. These temples grew as grows the grass. Art might obey, but not surpass. I love that line. The passive master lent his hand to the vast soul that o'er him planned. And the same power that reared the shrine bestrode the tribes that knelt within. Ever the fiery Pentecost girds with one flame the countless host, trances the heart through chanting choirs, and through the priest the mind inspires. The word unto the prophet spoken was writ on tables yet unbroken. The word by seers or sibyls told in groves of oak or fanes of gold still floats upon the morning wind, still whispers to the willing mind one accent of the Holy Ghost the heedless world hath never lost. I know what say the fathers wise, the book itself before me lies, old Chrysostom, best Augustine, and he who blent both in his line the younger golden lips or minds, Taylor, the Shakespeare of divines. His words are music in my ear, I see his cowled portrait dear, and yet for all his faith could see, I would not the good bishop be. I also love in literary works, because all art is sort of building off of other art, like there's no original ideas really. All great artists steal or whatever, but it sort of becomes this secret language for I don't want to say intellectuals, because I think that's so silly, but it's just like it's difficult to understand certain things if you don't have the language, if you don't have the context, if you don't have the prior knowledge, I guess. So like there's a lot of stuff in this poem I just read that was referenced that I don't know about. So it motivates me to learn about it, because it's almost like this secret language, like nods to other historical things that I don't understand, and I don't want to miss anything. So it motivates me to do some research, to learn about historical epochs or whatever. Is that the word? I don't know. And yeah, I just think it's really interesting. Just like kind of how I was, like literally what I was talking about right at the beginning, about how because I want to read certain books, I need to read other books first so that I understand the books that I want to read. You know what I mean? Okay, Phidias. So he references early in the poem this Phidias character I've never heard of. But then in the footnotes it says, so the Parthenon is the temple of the goddess Athena, built on the Acropolis at Athens, and was designed by Phidias. So once we know that, we have proper context, you know. The hand that rounded Peter's dome, which would be Michelangelo, ? The dome of St. Peter's Cathedral in Rome was designed by Michelangelo. This poem is called The Problem. That's so interesting. I'm gonna read it one more time. Is that crazy? Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I wanna. Okay, let's just go one more time. I like a church. I like a cowl. I love a prophet of the soul. And on my heart monastic aisles fall like sweet strains or pensive smiles. Yet not for all his faith can see would I that cowled churchman be. I wonder what the word cowled, because there's an interesting accent mark on the word. If you can see that. I don't know. Cowled, can you wait? I'm not really showing this great. Why should the vest on him allure, which I could not on me endure? Not from a vain or shallow thought his awful Jove young Phidias brought. And Jove in historical context, that would mean like God, right? Jove or Jesus? I don't know, actually. It's a good question. I would look it up, but I'm filming this on my phone. Never from lips of cunning fell the thrilling Delphic oracle. Out from the heart of nature rolled the burdens of the Bible old. The litanies of nations came like the volcano's tongue of flame. Up from the burning core below, the canticles of love and woe. The hand that rounded Peter's stone and groined the isles of Christian Rome, wrought in a sad sincerity himself from God he could not free. And groined joined the Isles of Christian Rome, wrought in a sad sincerity, himself from God he could not free. He builded better than he knew, the conscious stone to beauty grew. Know'st thou what wove yon woodbird's nest of leaves and feathers from her breast, or how the fish outbuilt her shell, painting with more in each annual cell? Or how the sacred pine tree adds to her old leaves new myriads. So then I feel like he's talking about nature being the greatest artist or something like that. Such and so grew these holy piles, whilst love and terror laid the tiles. There's a lot to unpack here. I kind of want to like really research this poem. Earth proudly wears the Parthenon as the best gem upon her zone, and morning opes. Interesting, morning is capitalized, and morning opes with haste her lids to gaze upon the pyramids, or England's abbey spends the sky as on its friends with kindred eye. Sorry. For out of thought's interior sphere these wonders rose to upper air and nature. Wow, cool. Okay. Out of thought's interior sphere these wonders arose to upper air. Nature gladly gave them place, adopted them into her race, and granted them an equal date with Andes and with Ararat. So Ararat are mountains in western South America and eastern Turkey. Oh, the Andes. Wow. Stupid. The Andes and Ararat. So the Andes are obviously the mountains in South America, and Ararat is Turkey, eastern Turkey. Okay. These temples grew as grows the grass. My art might obey but not surpass. Yeah, art might obey but not surpass. I really love that. Okay, these temples grew as grows the grass. Sorry, okay. Anyway, these temples grow as grows the grass. Art might obey but not surpass. The passive master lent his hand to the vast soul that o'er him planned. And the same power that reared the shrine best rode the tribes that knelt within. Ever the fiery Pentecost girds with one flame the countless host. Why do I always want to add a T at the end of that word? The countless host. Trances the heart through chanting choirs, and through the priest the mind inspires. The word unto the prophet spoken was writ on tables yet unbroken. The word by seers or sibyls told in groves of oak or veins of gold. Still floats upon the morning wind, still whispers to the willing mind. One accent of the Holy Ghost, the heedless world hath never lost. I know what say the Father is wise, the book itself before me lies. Old Chrysostom. What the hell is Chrysostom? Chrysostom? Best Augustine. And he who blent both, and also blent is a word I do not know. He who blent both in his line, the younger golden lips or minds. Taylor. Who's Taylor? I know someone in the comments will have answers to all of this. Taylor, the Shakespeare of divines. Okay, so apparently Taylor is the Shakespeare of divines. His words are music in my ear. I see his cowled portrait dear. And yet for all his faith could see, I would not the good bishop be. So is this about someone in specific? C'est possible. Sorry, that's gross that you can hear what's happening in my nose, but I'm too lazy to get up and get a tissue. Okay, let's do two more. The snowstorm. I'm gonna take this over here so I can. Okay, that's so much better. The snowstorm. Announced by all the trumpets of the sky, arrives the snow, and driving over the fields, seems nowhere to alight. The whited air hides hills really fascinating because in the French language, there is the word malgré, which instead of a U in the middle, you just put an L. It's the same word. So instead of maigre, in French would be malgré, and this means like this means despite. So the connection between French and English is obviously vast. So that's cool. And what else? Parian. On Cooper Kennelly hangs Parian wreaths. So this is white marble found on the island of Paros in the Aegean Sea, favored by ancient Greek sculptors. Who would have thought? Next one. This one is called the rodora, which is another name for the rhododendron, a flowering bush common to New England. The rodora. On being asked, whence is the flower? In May, when sea winds pierced our solitudes, I found the fresh rodora in the woods, spreading its leafless blooms in a damp nook to please the desert and the sluggish brook. The purple petals fallen in the pool made the black water with their beauty gay. Here might the red bird come his plumes to cool, and court the flower that cheapens his array. Rodora, if the sages ask thee why this charm is wasted on the earth and sky, tell them, dear, that if eyes were made for seeing, then beauty is its own excuse for being. Why thou wert there, O rival of the rose, I never thought to ask, I never knew, but in my simple ignorance suppose the self-same power that brought me there brought you. I like that one. I'm going to read it again. The rodora, on being asked whence is the flower. In May, when sea winds pierced our solitudes, I found the fresh rodora in the woods, spreading its leafless blooms in a damp nook to please the desert and the sluggish brook. The purple petals fallen in the pool made the black water with their beauty gay. Here might the redbird come his plumes to cool, and court the flower that cheapens his array. Rodora, if the sages ask thee why this charm is wasted on the earth and sky, tell them, dear, that if eyes were made for seeing, then beauty is its own excuse for being. Why thou wert there, O rival of the rose, I never thought to ask, I never knew, but in my simple ignorance suppose the self-same power that brought me there brought you. That's so sweet. That if eyes were made for seeing, then beauty is its own excuse for being. Okay, Emerson. Okay. We're at 30 minutes, so I'm going to stop there. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to me babble on. I don't really know what else to say, except thank you so much for sticking around and for subscribing. And if you have any other video suggestions, please let me know. I really would like to become more consistent. I've just been super busy, even though that's no excuse. What's today? Today is Wednesday. I would like to have a new video out on Friday. So maybe I could make my days Wednesday and Friday. What do you guys think about that? Let me know. And thank you so much for watching. you in the next video, okay? Take care of yourselves. And I love you. And if nobody told you today, I'm really grateful that you're here. And genuinely, I believe that you have a lot to offer the world just by being you. So thank you for sticking around, and I hope things just get easier and better for all of you. And I'm sending you all my love and encouragement and affection. Bisous, bisous, bisous.